Hello.
Hi, we're back to Ray. In the recurring pattern on page 110, Ray goes to the modern idolatry that is actually the reality for Jehovah's Witnesses, that they have allowed an organization, a governing body now, to equate itself with God and Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So under that heading, equating an organization with God and Christ, Ray begins, among all the claims and arguments of church leaders in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, who pushed for greater human authority and centralized control, there is virtually no statement that is not paralleled in the publications of the Watchtower organization in recent times. When study and research finally brought this home to me, I found it increasingly difficult to harmonize the organizational self-approval, self-praise, and self-identification as God's channel with its simultaneous calls for humility and meekness on the part of everyone else. Most of all, I felt deeply disturbed at its interposing of itself between the individual and God. On the one hand, encouraging people to seek a personal relationship with God, while at the same time superimposing on this their claims to be the indispensable means for receiving divine guidance and blessing. God would simply not grant any person these favors apart from them, they insisted. I could not make this square with Jesus' words, John 14, verse 6. I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Or with the words of Peter in Acts chapter 4, verse 12. There is no salvation in anyone else, for there is not another name under heaven that has been given among men by which we must be saved. Or with those of Paul, who in writing of the spiritual building done by Christians says, as recorded at 1 Corinthians 3 verse 11, for no man can lay any other foundation than what is laid, which is Jesus Christ.
Ray continues, there seems to be a definite infringement upon Jesus' divine role. If no one comes to the Father except through him, then, according to the published statements already presented, it was being claimed that no one comes to Christ except through the Watchtower organization, which thus inserts itself between the individual and God's Son. Logically, this makes the human organization an essential for salvation. It is not surprising, therefore, to find that the claims of the Mother Church that no one can find salvation outside the Church are clearly matched by the Mother organization, as seen in the following quotations from the October 1st, 1967 Watchtower and the November 15, 1981 Watchtower. And here's the quotes. Make haste to identify the visible theocratic organization of God that represents His King, Jesus Christ. It is essential for life. Doing so, be complete in accepting its every aspect. We cannot claim to love God, yet deny His word and channel of communication. Therefore, in submitting to Jehovah's visible theocratic organization, we must be in full and complete agreement with every feature of its apostolic procedure and requirements. We can expect a similar expansion of our preaching activity now at this climax of the ages. No doubt, before the Great Tribulation is finished, we will see the greatest witness to God's name and kingdom in the history of this world. And while now the witness yet includes the invitation to come to Jehovah's organization for salvation, the time no doubt will come when the message takes on a harder tone, like a war cry, a great war cry.
So interesting again that is now very much part of the buzz in the media. JW.org, of course, is again using the same text from Revelation that they've always used about the hailstones to justify a change in the message, telling Jehovah's Witnesses you won't have to preach anymore. There won't be opportunity for anyone to come into God's organization anymore.
Or it'll be a message that's more of doom.
That's not justified by the New Testament. The gospel of the kingdom, that is the good news of the kingdom, will be preached throughout the inhabited world, and then the end will come. There's no change of message at the end.
Yeah.
So here you have a bunch of things that need to be commented upon. Back in the first paragraph, for instance, this insistence that while you can have a personal relationship with Jehovah, on the other hand, you must be mediated by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
Yeah, they take the place of Jesus, really.
I guess we shouldn't be surprised, since the title they gave themselves from the beginning, from Russell's day, is the Anointed, the 144,000 anointed. That's what Christ means. So in effect, the governing body now has completely replaced Christ as the mediator between God and men.
Yeah.
So, in the old days, it's so ironic. They used to criticize the Roman Catholic Church endlessly for interposing the office of the magisterium, specifically the Pope, between God and everybody else. Or the priesthood. They used to call it even priestcraft in criticizing Romanism, and quite rightly, because Romanism has criticized itself. And no, I don't even think most Roman Catholics could be branded as Romanists anymore, because their attachment to the church and to God is so ill-defined or undefined nowadays. But Protestants in those days, 500 years ago, used to complain about this priestcraft, putting another mediator between God and the rest of mankind. But Protestantism, of course, has its own problems, but it's not sticking another mediator in besides Christ. And then, of course, down further on the page 111, this insistence that although Jesus may be the way,
we're the way to the way. We've done another video, so we'll link it to that one about characteristics of cults, and that is one of them. That they'll say Jesus is the way, but they'll also say they are the way to the way.
And there's no way to get to God other than through Jesus' appointed way, which is them.
Right.
And that idea is, of course, developed endlessly in the Watchtower publications, which Ray develops in the form in which this was taking when he himself was disfellowshipped for disagreeing with this trend around 1980 and 81. This insistence that we are the way to Christ and God was becoming more and more emphatic in the publications, when he had hoped, in the 70s anyway, that it might go the other way. In the next segment.